Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness here on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MF Michael Fletcher, alongside the boys, Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock. We got a lot to go through, so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to start off with AEW's Double or Nothing. We're going to try to go as fast as we can to get that out of the way because we have a lot of stuff going down tonight as well. So let's start out. AEW, the 21-man battle royale for the international title. And when it was all said and done, Orange Cassidy successfully defends the title 22 minutes, 25 seconds. This was a good match. This was a solid opener. The battle royale, it's so hard to predict these things. But with the title on the line, we all kind of felt like Orange Cassidy was going to win it. And sure enough, he did. He walked out of there with the belt. No big surprise for us that he won it all. It was, like I said, it was a solid match. It was a good opener. This was about, I want to say, about 3 stars, more than anything else. The crowd wasn't, like, they were into it in certain moments, but they weren't like completely all in on this one. There were some moments where they kind of sat on their hands, and that's gonna be the theme of at least of the AEW Double or Nothing. The flat crowd in Vegas. We're gonna be calling them out a lot tonight. More than anything else. So nothing more to say. 3 stars, Anthony. It's yours.
What was that time of the fall again?
22-25.
There was something to like about the Blackjack Battle Royal, such as the booking of Big Bill as a monster giant and the calculating Swerve Strickland waiting to enter the ring until late. But this was very much one of those battle royals where lots happened without any lasting effect. Orange Cassidy winning at least makes sense, but does beg the question, what's next for Freshly Squeezed? Does Tony Khan and the AEW creative team have a long-term plan, or are they content to let Cassidy continue his winning ways before acquiring a new star to take the title from him? Maybe there is a wait-and-see approach as the company seeks out an appropriate victor. Whatever the case may be, this at least got the fans into the show, and they remain solidly behind Cassidy, despite booking and a win-loss record that would get him John Cena 5 years ago. I'm going to be a little more generous. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars because, this was, mainly for the ending, the final 2 with Orange Cassidy and Swerve Strickland. That was a great final 2, and there were some great moments out of that. So I'll meet you in the middle. I'll give it about 3.25, 3.5 for the effort. I'm not going to do the detailed stuff because I know we have a lot to get into here. So I'll keep that at a minimum here tonight. So with that, Michael Bullock, come on in. Let's get your thoughts on the Blackjack Battle Royale. Orange Cassidy still the AEW International Champion, but based on the interaction with him and Swerve, don't be surprised if Swerve Don't be surprised if Swerve ends up being the next in line to challenge for him.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Swerve Strickland is the next person to challenge Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. So, yeah, I'll give it about 3.5 stars. I thought it was a good battle royale. But like Fletch said, the match was good, but the crowd was just flat. It's almost like they were sitting with their hands they were sitting on their hands, and basically it's almost like they don't care about it. And yeah, and I'm with Fletch. When we get to our overall thoughts, I'm basically calling out the Las Vegas people for being flat tonight. We'll save it for later. So 3.5 stars. It's yours, Fletch.
Next up on the fight card was the unsanctioned matchup. It was Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho. Winner of the bout in 17 minutes via referee stoppage. Adam Cole, baby. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Let me see. All right.
And sensing by that, that might not be good.
Not only is it a cheap win for the babyface in that he never actually earned it, but it also flies in the face of the stipulation, and it negates all of the hardcore action that preceded it, renders the already head-scratching involvement of Sabu pointless, and left a bad taste in the mouths of the AEW faithful who were left booing as the bell sounded. This was likely a concentrated effort to protect Jericho's heat for an eventual rematch, but given everything that led to the match in the first place, he could have easily eaten a loss and gotten his revenge, maybe tonight or in the future to keep this progressing forward. Instead, the finish here adversely affected the overall quality of a match that felt a step off for most of it, but featured some good, hard-hitting action from the combatants, a major disappointment, and a really questionable bit of booking early in this show. 2.5. That's the best I can go. So there isn't much more for me to say on this. So, Michael Bullock, yes, it was just like with the first match, good match, but disappointing. And that finish, the finish left a bad taste in our mouths too.
Exactly. I mean, it was a good match, but the problem was, I mean, the ending was just flat. I mean, it didn't do anything for me. This is an unsanctioned match. I mean, what's the only way this match can end, guys?
Traditionally by pinfall or submission.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Fletcher Florio. I mean, maybe this is something I don't know about, but I didn't hear of anything about a referee stoppage unless there was a serious injury.
Or Jericho was unable to continue either because he was either knocked out or he passed it out. But that's the only way that I would know of a referee stoppage.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way. I mean, other than that, this makes absolutely zero sense for me. So I'm actually going to go lower, 2.25 stars. I mean, this was just very disappointing here. I mean, the build for this match hasn't been that good, and now you also have a flat finish like this. I mean, it was a good match, but it just really didn't do much for me. I'm sorry. So it's yours, Fletch.
I get it, and I understand it, and even a lot of the guys because normally I'm with a group on Discord and we were watching this event as it was happening, and they were saying the same thing. A lot of people just didn't get it, they didn't understand it, and these are true diehard AEW fans. So let's call it the way we saw it. These are true AEW diehards that, sometimes they do defend AEW a lot and think that it's unfair what happens. This time around, under these circumstances, even they actually weren't on the side of them. So it kind of was one of those type of situations where a lot of fans were not happy about it. They were very disappointed with the way that it broke out. And now we go from there. And yeah, it was a very interesting situation. The match could have been a lot better under those circumstances. When you do get a match that is anything goes, non-sanctioned, it never lived up to the hype. And I think that's the big problem. When Britt came out to interfere in that fight, it was reasonable because of the fact that, hey, she was in the center of that mess. And she did what she needed it to do. I thought they did a great job handling that. But like you said, was it perfect? No. Could have it been better? Absolutely. But it is what it is, folks. So there's really nothing more for us to say. So we just move on right along. And
what did you give it?
I give it 3. I'll give it 3. I'll be fair enough with it. So then we had FTR versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, winner of the bout in 20 minutes even, and still the AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, the champs say the champs. I mean, obviously, they had to overcome so much here in this. I mean, obviously, with a lot of interference. I mean, with the you obviously know who was out there, so really need to go there with that. So I'll actually give it about maybe 3.5 for this. So it's your Fletch.
All right, I'll give it about 3.25 is my rating from the match. I thought they did a really good job. I thought they did very well with the way that it handled the highlight of the fight. I'm sorry, it wasn't him. Karen Jarrett unloads a guitar on Aubrey Edwards. Aubrey took a bump, a ref bump. In that case, oh my God. You know what? I gotta say it. Aubrey has been one of the few referees that hasn't taken a bump in AEW, and she didn't take a bump. She took a guitar to the head, thanks to Karen Jarrett. I mean, the fans pretty much said what they had to say. We were like, even the guys, we were losing our minds. We're like, oh my God, what the hell?
I guess she got advice from her husband Jeff Jarrett when said don't piss me off. Well, you don't piss off Karen Jarrett because she ain't afraid to.
Karen, she was being a Karen. Let's say that. And I don't care if I just offended people. She was being a Karen, and we know. And if anybody knows what I mean, good for you. That's all I'm going to say about that. That was amazing. It was a good fight. Obviously, then you had the big ending where basically Jarrett pushed Mark Briscoe way too far, pushed him over the edge, and Briscoe fired, and it led to the Shatter Machine at the end for FTR to successfully defend their World Tag Team titles. Predictable outcome, yes. Not the greatest way to get to the end of the fight. I could give you that. But it was still a 3-star bout. I don't even know what to say. It was all right for what it was worth. And, there's really nothing more to say. I'm done. Florio, it's yours.
If there's one thing FTR does not need, it is overbooking in their tag team title matches. While there were elements of Memphis and attitude in this one, there was far too much outside interference and shenanigans. There wasn't nearly enough of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler proving why they are the best tag team in wrestling as they defeated Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Between Sanjay Dutt running around like a damn idiot, Karen Jarrett using a guitar on a referee, and the drama surrounding special referee Mark Briscoe, this had a little bit of everything and a whole lot that was not needed for this to be a success here. Double J is an all-timer. Jay Lethal is a grizzled veteran. And FTR are the best of this generation. So this was better sports entertainment than it would have been if left to others. Still, it felt wholly unnecessary and did not really help anyone involved in any way that a straight match would not have. I'll give it 3 for the effort, but that's all there is to say on that. So with that being said, MF, let's continue on here.
All right, indeed, we will indeed move on. Next up we had was Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's World Title. Winner of the bout in 3:05, and new AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm. Toni walked away with the gold. She wins it, but I think it kind of was more in the way because Jamie Hayter has been dealing with some injuries, and the injuries kind of unfortunately caught up to her, and that's why we got the situation that we got. Obviously, my thoughts and prayers are with Jamie. I hope she does make a full recovery because it looks like she's going to be out of action for a little while. But Toni Storm now will take over as the new face of AEW, the women's division, as the new champion. So really nothing more to add. This was about 1 star, and I'm being generous at that. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah. Actually, MF, you went out of order. Next up was the ladder match.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just saw it. I just saw it.
Back it up.
Yeah, TNT versus Wardlow versus Christian Cage. Wardlow wins at 17-10. All right. It was fine. I think the reason why I passed this one was because, unfortunately, I don't care about the match. I didn't care about it. I really wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was okay for what it was worth. Wardlow winning, yay, congratulations. But did it really need the ladder match stipulation? It was really underbooked. It really didn't care. I could care less about this matchup. 2.5 to 3. That's my rating. Florio, go.
All right. There are a few instances of Christian Cage being involved in a ladder match that can be best described as underwhelming and at worst plain bad. Sunday's battle with Wardlow falls somewhere in between, with strong effort from both men, but several spots did not click and the crowd was not nearly as with the competitors as one would expect. That Arn Anderson played a key role late and looked every bit his age, while the monstrous, new and improved Luchasaurus was neutralized rather easily by Wardlow, only enhanced the issues facing the match. At least the creative forces resisted the urge to beat Wardlow again. The guy is the future of the company, but really needs some consistent booking to help him get there. Hopefully, this is a step in the right direction for the uber-athletic heavyweight. Just leave the ladders out of it for a bit and save the gimmicks for a feud more deserving of them. 2.5 to 3, I easily agree with MF's rating, so not much more to say on that. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 2.5. I'm with you guys on this one, but I'm with Fletch here. This was one that I could basically give 2 what's amount. I mean, I never really cared for this. I mean, yeah, I mean, Fletch pretty much spoke for me here on this, so I really don't really care much about it. So it is yours, Fletch.
All right. Well, I gave my thoughts about the women's title match. So there's really nothing more for me to say here. So, Florio, what's yours?
By default, the worst fight of the night. Jamie Hayter was injured entering the event, and even the booking preceding the pay-per-view suggested she may not be able to defend her title. She did, albeit in a short match that protected her injured right arm, and concluded with Toni Storm benefiting from exposed turnbuckles, interference from the Outcasts, and their trusty spray paint to score the win and title. Storm winning the title was a great call given the circumstances and solidifies her as one of the most trusted members of the AEW roster. When things do not go according to plan, management has repeatedly felt comfortable asking her to carry things, and she has excelled. It is massively disappointing for Jamie Hayter, who has been one of the best wrestlers in the business this year. But she was booked in a way that made her look like a valiant and gutsy performer who still came within seconds of retaining until heel interference proved her downfall. The women's division will need reshuffling in the coming weeks, but the Outcasts are a quality heel act, and both Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida will provide quality opposition for the time being. Our best to Jamie Hayter, and I'm gonna make a bold statement here and now. London, August 27th, All In. I believe on that night, Jamie Hayter gets the title back in front of her in her home country, and the pop that she gets will be rival that of the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. Simple.
Well, I hope so. I hope she's back in time. That's the only thing. How long is going to be this injury? That's the one thing I'm concerned about. Is it bad enough that she misses the London show? Because you don't know. We don't know the full extent of the injury. So we're kind of hoping and praying, but that's besides the point.
I believe she will be MF. I really do. So, but we'll see. We'll see. You're right. So, 1 star. Worst fight of the night, obviously. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Toni Storm, once again, AEW Women's Champion, but now, she's going to have to run with that thing for a little bit. But I still believe Jamie Hayter will be ready for All In, and if she gets to All In London, I believe she gets the title back.
Yeah, but like good old MF said, I mean, we don't know the extent of the injury, and we don't know how long she's going to be out, because if it's really bad, she may be missing all in England. So I think for me, I'm going to hold off on that prediction you just made. So yeah, 1 star. Worst fight of the night. Nothing more to say. Our best to Jamie Hayter. So it's yours, Fletch.
Then we had the House of Black versus the Acclaim and Daddy Ass. The Acclaim winning the match in 15 minutes and 30 seconds to successfully defend the Trios titles. Florio, it's yours.
Like much of the show to this point, the open house rules match for the Trios Championship failed to garner the level of fan engagement as one would have hoped for, despite two of the more over acts in the company. House of Black successfully defended their titles, knocking off mystery opponents, the Acclaimed. To do so, the heels overcame a late babyface comeback from the latter before Black shut him down and scored the uncontested pinfall win. A lack of story, despite some teases here and there in recent weeks, hurt this one and led to a match that was merely okay and did not have the crowd investment to really enhance it beyond that. 3 to 3.25 stars. The only real highlight that came out of this was when Max Caster went after Buddy Matthews on the mic with that pre-match rap referencing Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. That was great. But other than that, okay fight. TV quality match. Something you would see on a Dynamite, maybe a Rampage. I don't know. 3.25 for this. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, 3 stars for me on this one as well. I mean, it was an okay match. I mean, not really that much to write home about. So it's yours, Fletch.
Same, likewise. Not much to write home about. We knew who was going to win the match going in. They're going to keep this belt for a while. They're just too good right now. So nothing more to say. So next up we had was Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie. Jade Cargill wins the match in 8 minutes and 50 seconds. But then Mark Sterling opened his big yap, basically issuing an open challenge. And somebody answered. The one-time alien. The now returning Chris Statlander, her return from ACL injury. She's back, and she made the most of the moment. She is the one in 60-1, the new TBS champion. Chris Statlander winning the title in less than a minute. Michael Bullock, history made, unprecedented crowning. Chris Statlander has done the impossible. She has toppled Mount Jade. She is the new champion.
Yeah, I mean, for the original match, I mean, with Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie, I'll give this about 2.5 for the effort here. But all I can say is, smart Mark Sterling, what in the world were you thinking by deciding to do an open challenge? I mean, we knew you had a big mouth, but now you had to go and do that after she successfully defended the title? I mean, you knew somebody was going to answer the challenge, and it was the returning Chris Statlander, and Chris Statlander is the one in 60-1. And I got one question for you, Jade Cargill. Who's that bitch now, bitch? So, nothing else to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, this was historic. And the funny thing is that we all were wondering. We're like, you know, who is going to be the one? Who is going to be the one? The rumor going around was that we thought it was going to be Mercedes Moné, but they never were able to get her. Well, then Mercedes, as many of you guys know now, fractured her ankle, so she's now out of the picture. We all thought, oh, great, Jade's probably going to run this much more longer. Oh, no. Apparently, Tony Khan and the boys had Chris Statlander about 2 months in advance that she was going to be the one to topple her. So I found out, thanks through dirt sheets and other stuff, that the plan was in place for Statlander to be the one 2 months ago. This just got out now. So think about that. AEW was sitting on this for the last couple months that Statlander was going to be the one to topple Jade Cargill. Now, the rumor is out that Cargill is leaving AEW. Now, a lot of people's like, wait, what? Hold on. She's taking some time off. Maybe injuries. Maybe it could be personal stuff. But Jade is leaving, and she's going to take some time off, which means she probably will be coming back sometime down the line, and we go from there. Whatever the case may be, history has been made. Unprecedented crowning, unprecedented moment, and for Kris Statlander, one of the people who was one of the originals of AEW, this could not have been any more better than anything in this world. What a moment for her. And she's one of the originals of AEW. She's been there from the very beginning. And now she is the champion. She deserves the moment. Congratulations, Kris Statlander. Yeah, the Taya match was about 2 stars. Obviously, we can't give much of a rating because the match was so short, but we can give our flowers to Kris Statlander because she deserves the moment. She is the new champion. Florio, it's yours.
Jade Cargill had been one of the few constants in AEW leading into Double or Nothing. Sunday night, her run as TBS champion came to an end, but not before winning match number 60. Cargill successfully retained her title in a grueling match, defeating Taya Valkyrie with Jaded, and doing so in a relatively clean fashion. Then, as he has done numerous times in the past, Smart Mark Sterling, and Michael Bullock, this one's for you. As we all know, Smart Mark Sterling, he's got a big mouth.
Oh, I love that.
Shout out to you, Hot Rod. Or Hot Scott. But as he has done numerous times in the past, smart big mouth Mark Sterling let his big mouth get him in trouble as he issued an open challenge on behalf of the victor. Kris Statlander returned to the squared circle after a year away and proceeded to do what no one else has been able to, defeat Jade Cargill for the championship. The moment, a great one for the performer herself and fans that have waited patiently to see her back in the ring, brought an end to Cargill's title reign with an exclamation point. There is very much an argument to be made that a babyface storming back to defeat a champion who just had a grueling match is not the most, well, babyface way to book things, but it is something we see elsewhere, and it tends to work out okay. Cargill is still the star of the future, but this is a wonderful moment for Statlander and the change for the TBS championship picture that the women's division needed. Big props to Taya Valkyrie, who was fantastic here and worked well with Cargill. I'll give the Valkyrie Cargill match 2.5. The other one will be an NA, no rating, but it is great to see Kris Statlander back, and that's obviously why, they wanted to wait until now to do this. They wanted to make sure Kris Statlander was healthy, fully ready to go, and she is, and we have a very deserving TBS champion ending this over year-long dominance of Jade Cargill. So what a sight it was to see. And yes, Kris Statlander indeed is the one in 60-1. Congratulations, my dear. Well deserved. 2.5 for Cargill Valkyrie. The other, no rating. So MF, yes, indeed. History made. Unprecedented crowning. Absolutely. Well deserved. Congrats, Kris Statlander. Let's move on.
In many people's eyes, the AEW Double or Nothing, the show actually started with this next match. The AEW world title on the line, the 4 pillars going at it. MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Sammy Guevara, because him and his wife, Ty Mello, are expecting. She's pregnant, boys. So, of course, so we had that. And yeah, so the winner of the bout in 27 minutes and 50 seconds, and still the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, is MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, and I believe this goes to Anthony Florio. You lead off? Yeah.
I do indeed. So,
all right. So it's yours, my friend.
Yep. I wanted it anyway because this was, well, the first things first. I was an idiot for not mentioning, of course, Chris Statlander winning meant tripod confetti, baby. Yes, sir. So anytime you see that, you know something special happens. So awesome there. Unfortunately, we didn't get that here, but hey, whatever, because MJF's still the champ. I'm sure when he eventually loses it. AEW World Champion MJF successfully retained his title in a legitimate Match of the Year candidate Sunday night in Las Vegas, defeating Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin in a match that solidified why those four men have been considered the pillars of the company. Easter eggs, high spots, pro wrestling psychology, storyline callbacks, and a brilliant finish from the best and slimiest villain in wrestling today came together to create one of the best matches in company history. Sammy Guevara was remarkably great, no doubt riding an emotional high from the revelation that he and his wife, Ty Mello, are expecting a child. Sometimes criticized for being too spot happy, everything he did was crisp and on point, with low-key additions to his work that suggested he was very aware of the enormity of the match. It was MJF, though, who continued to assert his greatness with a performance that was excellence personified. He was brilliant, using the sort of pro wrestling psychology we are not privy to often enough in today's wrestling landscape, and put an exclamation point on things by sliding the world title in the way of Allen's coffin drop. He then pinned his sworn enemy with the same insulting headlock takeover that he infamously used at Full Gear 2021. At a time when the AEW product is as uneven, creatively disjointed, and ever-changing for better and worse, MJF is consistent excellence. 4 stars. You can certainly make an argument for Fight of the Night on this if you wanted. And the outcome was never in doubt, but the match, boy howdy, was beyond excellent. And one of the 2 saving graces of this show. We'll get to the other one in a moment, but nonetheless, MJF still the man, and we'll wait and find out how long that remains. So, so not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, MJF still the champ. Yes, that was predictable. We had a feeling he was going to go over, but at least we ended up getting a legitimate competitive Match of the Year candidate with these 4 men. The bill was blah, but this match made us say, yeah.
Yeah, this match definitely made us say yeah after the build was pretty much blah, but boy howdy, what a match this was. 4.25 stars. I mean, yeah, this was one of the 2 saving graces of this Double or Nothing pay-per-view. So the champ stays the champ. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So it's yours, Fletch.
The next thing that we had, the main event, it was the Anarchy in the Arena. It was the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite. Blackpool Combat Club winning the match in 27 minutes thanks to some interjection by Takeshita interfering and basically becoming the new right-hand man for that slimy sleazeball. I'm not even going to reference his name because we'll reference him during the AEW Dynamite show tonight, but you know who he is. We all know who he is. Michael Bullock's favorite buddy. Yeah, his good compadre. Just as much as Sanjay Dutt, how much he loves Sanjay Dutt, we know he loves this other guy too, right, Bullock?
Yeah, right. The other big old slime ball, Don Callis. Although he's not as, I'll just say it like this. At least he's not as bad as Sanjay Dutt.
Okay, it's yours.
Oh, it was my turn anyway. So yeah, this was absolutely crazy. I mean, this match went so many different places during this Anarchy in the Arena. I mean, to no one's surprise, we saw blood in this match, which pretty much what we expected. And yeah, Konosuke Takeshita, I mean, looks like now he's going to be the new right-hand man for Don Callis. And so now I'm interested to see what happens next here. So, as far as this match goes, I'll give this about four and a quarter. I mean, I could have gone higher, but a little bit of the interference from Callis, and of course the Takesha, I mean, did take away from it a little bit. So it's yours, Fletch.
This was all over the place. I mean, it was over the top in certain areas. It was what it needed it to be. It was a solid match. There was some good action, but there was some moments where even I was like, "What the hell is this?" But it was still a great main event. It was still a solid matchup in certain areas. I just cannot believe some of the stuff that went down. But um, you could probably say that the Takeshita turn was unexpected. I don't think none of us saw that coming. But at the end of the day, Blackpool Combat Club gets a big win, and that's a major surprise that they actually didn't do that. But Kenny Omega did drop something after the fact and says, well, it looks like I might have to get some friends outside of AEW for this war to deal with Takeshita. Well, I've heard some rumblings of two possible individuals that might be coming to AEW. And yes, by the way, folks, if anybody's wondering, Blackpool Combat Club and Takeshita is 5 men. The Elite now has 4, but obviously with Omega, there's going to be a 5th man. What match in AEW has a 10-man limit?
Dare I say blood and guts?
Gee, I wonder why these 2 men just said that. Because that's what I'm thinking as well. And, oh, by the way, if you're just wondering who those 2 men are that I'm referring to, that Omega could be possibly bringing in, one, I think you know really well, Anthony Florio, based off his amazing performance in, the Cruiserweight Classic. A guy that you were raving about, and actually has, I believe, appeared on AEW before as well. Some guy named Kota Ibushi.
I hear he's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard he's not bad. And then the other one is, well, practically the heart and soul of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Multi-time AEW, he was on AEW once. Surprise appearance. And yeah, but I think, he's that guy that likes to make it rain, as they say.
Okada, baby.
So, if either one of these guys show up, I mean, maybe one enters that forbidden door, and then maybe the other one shows up, and then you have the blood and guts, and yeah, it's gonna be good times for AEW coming up. There's no more for me to say there. As far as the match goes, it's about 4.5. That's my rating. Florio, it's yours.
Konosuke Takeshita has aligned himself with Don Callis, as AEW fans found out in the closing minutes of the Anarchy in the Arena match. The international star, once considered by many to be one of the future can't-miss prospects in the company, betrayed Kenny Omega and contributed to the Blackpool Combat Club, picking up the win over the Elite. Hangman Page and the Young Bucks were able to avenge some of the agony dealt them by the heels in the weeks leading up to the show in a match that was uber violent, bloody, and featured some stomach-churning spots involving thumbtacks. I don't remember. I don't know which young buck it was, but that atomic drop barefoot into the tacks. Yikes.
Oh.
Yikes. Oh, yikes.
I think it was Matt that took it. I think it was Matt Jackson that took it.
Oh, man. Even with that said, the match itself was an exhausting heap of spots that would have meant so much more had we not been desensitized to them on free television. over the last month. Barbed wire and blood, we got those in the steel cage match between Omega and Moxley. The arena brawl had that too in the Falls Count Anywhere match between Roderick Strong and Chris Jericho. The constant need for excess in AEW has hurt its ability to tell stories and engage audiences without going so over the top that they venture into eye roll territory, which this main event flirted with on occasion. The most effective stuff came late with the turn of Takeshita, which is a storyline development that demands answers and should set up a match between he and Omega that plays to both of their strengths. If you like deathmatch wrestling or were a big fan of the Attitude Era brawls that dominated the late 1990s, you probably thought this was awesome. If you are a fan of the guys involved, ditto, and good for you. Everyone is entitled to like what they like. It would be easier for others to appreciate and acknowledge the value of if they were not feted every week by a company that has often to turn to gimmicky matches, sometimes for no apparent reason. 4 1/4 to 4.5. This was the second best fight of the night here. The 4-way was the fight of the night for me. So there isn't much more to say. Did Bullock go or?
Bullock led off, so
Okay.
so it's back to me. Overall review. All right. Not the best AEW pay-per-view event. It was serviceable for the most part. I think it was a little bit of a letdown, and a lot of people were saying that. And the rating I can give it is maybe 6 out of 10. And I'm being very generous with that rating. The final two matches really saved the show from being an absolute disaster. Other than that, I thought they did all right. So 6 out of 10, nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
AEW unofficially turned 4 Sunday night with Double or Nothing 2023, and it is more apparent than ever that the company that exists today no longer resembles what it did back in 2019. At that time, it was seen as a group of revolutionaries and promising young talent that took to the Las Vegas Strip for a show that would introduce the pro wrestling landscape to the first true alternative since the height of WCW during the Monday Night Wars. There are bits and pieces that are familiar, which we saw on full display in the AEW World Championship 4-way match, and the women's division is healthier than ever, despite a key injury to Jamie Hayter, but it is otherwise a promotion that appears to have sacrificed vision for excess. The main event reflected as much when it did not have to, and the undercard sacrificed story and emotion for gimmicks that did not generate the engagement that one would hope for at one of the premier events of the year. There is still plenty to be excited about with AEW in particular. The young stars hovering around the top of the card, the raw athleticism that some of them possess, and an aforementioned women's division that has momentum on its side, and a champion in Toni Storm that is as good a version of the Aussie competitor as we have ever seen. Until those in power stop leaning on excessive gimmickry and understand that ladder matches, battle royales, and ultra violence work in moderation, the best parts of the company will be overshadowed by the head-scratching nature of everything else. Double or Nothing 2023 had a solid card going for it on paper, but failed to live up to it as a whole, ranking among the lesser of the AEW pay-per-views. Hopefully, Tony Khan and his team recognize what worked, understand what did not, and why, and make the changes necessary to really thrive in what will be a historically significant summer, given the rash of high-profile events upcoming in Forbidden Door next month, and then All In at Wembley in August, and then All Out the following week on Labor Day weekend. So 6 to 6.5. That's the best I can go. I'll meet you halfway, MF. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, final thoughts to you, and then we'll move on to NXT.
Yeah, 6 for me as well. I mean, those last two matches, the Four Pillars match for the AEW World Title and the Anarchy in the Arena, they literally saved this show from being a complete disaster. But I mean, Double or Nothing is one of your big pay-per-views, and this is what we get here. I mean, yeah, Tony Khan, I think, needs to go back to the drawing board and basically needs to fix some things here, because you got some big events coming up in that Forbidden Door, and of course, All In at Wembley Stadium. Those are your two big ones that are big events that are coming up, and if it's anything like what we saw at Double or Nothing, Tony Khan's gonna have to have some major explaining to do with this. So, nothing more to say. Let's get to NXT.
All right, and then we started out with the the weaponized steel cage match. It was Gigi Dolan versus JC Jane. Gigi Dolan winning the match in 12 minutes and 32 seconds. This was what we were waiting for. This was the breakout moment for both women. They absolutely tore the house down. This was a great opener. This was a solid match. This was great all the way through. And for me, well done. 3 stars for me. You could even make an argument that this could have been fight of the night because it was that good. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
3 1/4 to 3.5. The bout started strong, but could not quite keep pace throughout. It could have also been more physical. However, it was still the best either woman has looked since they started feuding with each other. The right woman emerged victorious. Gigi Dolan is more popular and has more experience. She still needs to show she can hang with the top women in NXT, though. She could be a future challenger for our new women's champion, Tiffany Stratton, if she can take the next step in the ring. It was questionable to put the biggest match of the night on as the opener. However, by focusing on the rivalry from the moment the show started over recapping Battleground, it came off as a delayed part of the event, which added prestige to the bout. So I'm giving it 3 1/4 to 3.5 for the effort here. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Gigi Dolan emerges. I'm thinking this has to be the blow-off here, and with Gigi Dolan winning, who knows? Maybe it could set her up as a future challenger for your new women's champion, Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, who knows? Maybe Gigi Dolan could be the next in line to, or could be first to challenge the new champion, Tiffany Stratton. Because I mean, we all think this is the blow-off here, and hopefully now these two can move on to bigger and better things for them. So we'll wait and see on that. But 3.5 is my rating, so it's yours, Fletch.
All right, next up that we did have of in-ring action was Tyler Bate and Wes Lee. They went up against the Dyad. Tyler Bate and Wes Lee winning the match in 5 minutes and 48 seconds. But before even the match even began, we actually had a little bit of a surprise visitor. Free agent, formerly of Monday Night Raw, I believe he was on Monday Night Raw, Mustafa Ali. What the hell are you doing in NXT? Anthony Florio? Care to explain?
Yeah. I think he's being sent back down to NXT for some grooming, from what I can tell here. Because technically he was a Raw guy, and he came off a gallant effort against Gunther in Saudi Arabia for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. So very interesting to see what happens here. This was a match that could have been spectacular, but never quite hit the top level with the time it had. In particular, the faces dominated so much that it diminished the threat of the established tag team. The arrival of Mustafa Ali makes things especially interesting. NXT has done well with short veteran runs on the brand, and he could be the guy to take Lee over the top as NXT North American champion. Joe Gacy delivered at Battleground, but it does not make sense for him to remain in the title scene after he clearly lost. Schism needs to find a rivalry rather that the group can win, or a change needs to happen. I'll give it 2.5 for the effort. Fun little sprint. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Mustafa Ali, and NXT. Business has certainly picked up here.
What did you give it?
My apologies for that. 2.5 stars.
Yeah, 2.5 is my rating on this, but yeah, Mustafa Ali back in NXT. I mean, that could. We'll see what happens with this. I mean, but yeah, I mean, who knows? With him maybe getting some grooming, we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, I mean, it's yours, Fletch.
All right, so right after that, whole bunch of promo stuff and everything else. And, you know, you had Tiffany Stratton as the new NXT Women's Champion. She cut it a promo. Then after that, you know, we had, like I said, a whole bunch of stuff. Danny Palmer was about to have a match, but then she got jumped from behind, and we didn't know who it was. And, well, we now know who it is. Blair Davenport, NXT UK product. If you know her in the UK, you know her as Bea Priestley. She's back. And oh, by the way, she was the one that attacked Sol Ruca. It was her all along. She took out Danny Palmer. She's making statements in NXT. Michael Bullock. Now we know who did it. Everybody was wondering who perpetrated the attack on Sol Ruca. I guess we now know who it was. It was Blair Davenport. What an impact.
Yeah, I mean, Blair Davenport, I mean, she was the one behind all this, so now the question is, Fletch, I mean, what's next for Blair Davenport? I mean, who is she going to be the one to target now? That's my only question.
I don't know. We'll find out. All right, so next up we had was Joe Coffey versus Stacks Lorenzo. And it was Joe Coffey winning the match in 6 minutes and 44 seconds. I believe this goes to Michael Bullock. Hang on, let me see. So I led on the first. Floyo briefly led on the second. So yeah, it actually goes to you, Michael Bullock. It's yours.
Yeah, it was a fine match here. I mean, it definitely could have been better. So I'll give this about another maybe 2.5. So it's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, 2.5. Fair enough. Nothing more to say. Yeah, fair enough. And I believe it goes to you, Anthony.
Yes, this was a fine match, but it did not show anything more from the competitors that they have done in the past. It was surprising that Coffey beat Stacks in a fair one-on-one fight, but he needed this win. NXT has struggled to make him the top guy of Gallus. Wins like this help. Stacks has looked like a solid act in recent months in the ring. However, he cannot escape the shadow of the Don. That may be changing soon as signs begin to point to him as the culprit who ratted on D'Angelo despite his best efforts to sell otherwise. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. 2.5, teetering on 2 3/4. Let's move on.
Yeah, 2.5 to 2 3/4. Not bad. Pretty good, to say the very least. Right after that, Cora Jade versus Ivy Nile. Cora Jade winning the match in 4:09. We're not really need to talk about that. That was kind of more of a showcase fight for Cora Jade, just to keep her relevant and to keep her in a opportunity more than anything else. So we'll see what happens there. But then we lead us to the main event of the evening, as it was Noam Dar and Carmelo Hayes going at it. And when it was all said and done, Carmelo Hayes winning the match in 11 minutes and 21 seconds to successfully defend the NXT title. But then after that, we had another attack. And this time, Baron Corbin shows up. What the hell? Okay. This even shocked me, seeing Corbin. But you know what? Maybe this is the perfect thing for Corbin. Maybe have him go back to the Lone Wolf, be that kind of guy. I think there's going to be some optimism more than anything else. So we'll see. Nothing more to say. And Anthony, I give it to you.
3 to 3.25 stars for the effort. This was unsurprisingly Noam Dar's best match in NXT so far. His technical offense looked smooth, playing off the high-flying flair of the A champion. The ending was fine, but did not live up to the early chemistry. NXT has something special in Trick Williams. He was immensely over with the crowd at ringside, and the fans did not appreciate it when he got sent to the back. The final image of Baron Corbin laying out the A champion was genuinely surprising. The Lone Wolf needs a reset, and he could be Melo's Dolph Ziggler, the veteran who pushes him to the next level as NXT champion. It's a smart pairing. So definitely got to think about that. I'm actually going to bump this up a little more. I'm actually going to give this between 3.25 and 3.5. This was easily the fight of the night here. No question about it. So Not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Baron Corbin back in NXT. And, oh boy, I think we found Carmelo Hayes' next challenger. He could be that veteran to push him like Dolph Ziggler pushed Braun Breaker.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, with Corbin back in NXT and going after Carmelo Hayes, so that would be a good challenge for him. But Carmelo Hayes will be up to the challenge because, as Fletch knows, this man is a fighting champion, and I'm sure he will turn back any challenge. So, I'll give this about maybe another 2.5 for the effort here. So it's yours, Fletch.
All right, Anthony Flair, you lead off on the overall review.
NXT is finally finding its groove. Battleground was a strong night of action, followed by the best episode of the Gold brand to date in 2023. The pacing was tighter and every segment mattered to further a variety of stories. A few relatively big names arrived to shake up the top title picture. While it is easy to quibble whether Baron Corbin and Mustafa Ali were paired off with the right stars, they have a chance to look like genuine top guys in WWE's third brand while elevating two of NXT's best. Gigi Dolan versus JC Jane closed the mixed rivalry on a strong note. Main event was also a great match. In fact, there were no in-ring duds or easy squashes. The typical 3-minute match circus was not present on this episode, and that should continue as NXT builds toward the Great American Bash on July 30. I'm going to give this between 7 and 7.5. Very good show last night. No doubt about it. So, Michael Bullock, it's not often we talk about a good NXT show, but this one I felt was 7.5. There you go.
Yeah, 7 for me. I mean, this was one of the best NXTs that I have seen in a long time. Yeah, no dud matches that we got here. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good show. So 7 for me. Fletch, quick thought, and we'll then get into Dynamite.
7.25. That's what I'll give it. I thought they did a really good job with it. Yeah, like you said, it was free flowing. The segments were fine, and there was really nothing more to add. So let's just go right into it. So we started out with the big we started out with AEW Dynamite, and here we go. 3 members of the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, they went up against Penta El Zero Miedo, Rey Fenix, and Bandito. Winners allowed in 13 minutes was Blackpool Combat Club. Solid opener, really good match. Obviously, you're keeping Blackpool really strong. They're carrying a lot of momentum now, especially after winning over the Elite, in that Anarchy in the arena. And now they parlay this to an even better win. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours. 3 stars.
And what was that time again? You went a little too quick.
13 even.
13 even. All right. 3.25, 3.5. It was a statement win, one that continued to present the Blackpool Combat Club as the most dominant force in the company and one of the most dangerous entities in the industry. Wheeler Yuta. Let me tell you about Wheeler Yuta. Once upon a time, MF was was not so high on Wheeler Yuta. Well, guess what? He looks to be heating up, presumably for some high-profile match at the Forbidden Door next month. And that's a good thing, as it allows him to inch closer to the credibility his teammates already enjoy. Good action-packed start to the show. No question about that. 3.25 to 3.5 for the effort. So, Michael Bullock, of course, outcome was never in doubt. We all knew the BCC were going to win this, but boy, howdy, the Lucha Bros and Bandito, they gave him a hell of a try. But at the end of the day, the BCC continues to win, and Wheeler Yuta, boy, is he red hot right now.
Yeah, Wheeler Yuta's red hot right now. I mean, like you said, once upon a time, Fletch was not too high on this guy, but now look at him. I mean, with pairing him with the Blackpool Combat Club was probably the best thing that could have ever happened for him. And yeah, I mean, and they continue to be on a roll coming off of their big win over the Elite. But Lucha Bros and Bandito definitely gave him one hell of an effort, but the outcome was never in doubt. So 3.5. It's yours, Fletch.
All right. Next up that we did have, they did make a big announcement. Tony Khan making a big announcement as expected. And that big announcement is that when AEW Collision makes their debut, when they make their debut when they make their debut at the United Center, CM Punk will be in the building. Yes, it's happened. CM Punk, Chicago. UC is going to be sold out now. It's almost guaranteed the UC will be sold out. He's going to the United Center. This was expected. We knew it was going to happen. The minute they announced that CM Punk was, the minute they said that the AEW Collision on TNT, that Saturday night show, was going to be at the United Center, I kind of was looking around and I was like, watch. That means CM Punk is going to be there. It's almost a guarantee now. And sure enough, Tony Khan makes it official. So, Punk is back. He'll be at the show in Chicago. Nothing more to say on that.
But the thing that I take away from that announcement, Flesh, there was a mixed reaction from the crowd when the announcement was made. I mean, some were happy about it, but some
a lot of boos.
Happy.
Yeah, there were boos. But the thing is, we knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. We knew there was no need to make a big announcement about this. We knew Punk was probably going to be back.
But I think the reason why there were some boos, I think because there are some out there who still believe that CM Punk was the reason for that brouhaha that took place backstage at what was that? With him and
the All Out Media Scrum.
Yeah,
the All Out Media Scrum. So a lot of people are not happy. Those that were booing were not happy about it because they felt like, why are you bringing back this guy that could be a problem backstage? I mean, especially after the brouhaha All Out with the Elite backstage. I mean, people thought they should just leave him alone. They should just let him be, just not have him come back, because as some people say, he's a cancer. But
I've heard that a lot from a lot.
Yeah, some people have said that, and that's why they're probably like, you know what, we don't need AEW doesn't need CM Punk. CM Punk needs them.
Yeah, but the thing is this: AEW actually does need CM Punk because of the fact that I don't know if you noticed this, guys, but the ticket sales for Collision has not been good. They actually have been average, to say the very least. They need CM Punk. They needed CM Punk. CM Punk is their biggest draw right now, and it's because of the shenanigans and what he brings to the table is why they needed him. So I'm going to tell you right now, other than Chicago, all the other locations, the ticket sales were very lackluster up to this point. Now that Punk has been linked and that he's going to be in Chicago, it's almost certain he's probably going to be on those Collision shows. So watch the boost for the ratings for that event. And then on top of that, yes, they did do 60,000 tickets for the All-In in London at Wembley. Think about adding CM Punk to that show now. They were hoping for 70, 80, maybe 90. They need him. They need CM Punk more than anybody else. And look at the numbers. Whenever Punk is on, he's a ratings magnet. Now, is that fair? Because of the stuff that he did? Alienating some of the locker room? Absolutely. There's going to be fans that are probably like, this guy doesn't need to be on the show. We don't need CM Punk. We don't need him at all. He's a pariah. He's a cancer. He's this, he's that. Here's the thing. AEW has made their bed, and now they got to lie in it. They need CM Punk as much as Punk needs them. And the thing is, if AEW wants to be successful, they need big name draws. Back then, what was their mission? To try to be an alternative, to try to be something better than WWE. And the thing is, WWE, for all of the crap that they've been dealing with McMahon, they have gotten better under the helm of Triple H. And they have. There's no debates. There's no arguments. What has happened is that WWE had made a claim that they are getting better. And you could see it. The momentum has shifted back to the advantage of WWE. Where AEW at the very beginning was beating up WWE. And there was a point where WWE was in big trouble. They were. Nobody's going to debate that. But the minute McMahon was forced out because of the sexual allegations that was against him, Triple H took over and the company soared and has stayed there for the most part. Now McMahon got back, and there was that one night where the night after WrestleMania where the show went off the rails and we were thinking the worst. Now, McMahon's got his hands on it a little, but is still letting Triple H run the thing. He's doing his things remotely. And now you see WWE is still strong, has actually gotten better, because without the fear of McMahon being there every 24/7 and 365, with him just being remotely, we'll give a little bit here, a little bit of input there, and is letting Hunter run the show. This is the WWE we've been hoping for. All right, fine, McMahon. You want to be a part of it. You want to have a little say in creative. Fine. As long as we know that you're not in the arena screwing shit up and Hunter's keeping the status quo, we're fine. Everything is going to be good. Look at what has happened from the show in Puerto Rico to the show in Saudi Arabia. Those shows were actually good. Who's running them? Hunter, Triple H. Tony Khan knows. He has to know. Controversy equals cash. Yeah, I'm going to steal a quote by Eric Bischoff. Controversy equals cash. CM Punk is the biggest controversial figure in the company today. And the thing is, no matter what you believe about the scrum, no matter what you believe about the reports that happened after the fact, with all the drama, with this fight between the Bucks and Omega and CM Punk and this and that, and there was a whole bunch of other things, they needed things to blow over. Obviously, time heals all wounds. But does it? Does it completely heal all wounds? We don't know for sure. Maybe. We don't know. All we know is that they're here. Punk is back. And now we got to do what we got to do. How's that going to turn out? What's that going to look like? We don't know. But one thing is for sure. They need CM Punk as badly as CM Punk needs AEW. So, he's back. Now the question is, who else comes back? Because Collision is supposed to divide the roster up. So maybe the Elite, Jericho, the guys that CM Punk don't like, they stay in Dynamite. Punk and his buddies, whoever that may be, they go to Collision. You split the rosters and you keep it as is. Maybe split the belts up. Who knows how that gets divided up? All we know is that for AEW to survive, they're going to have to do what WWE is doing. Split the rosters up, give us a SmackDown wing, a Raw wing, and keep them, like that. Because right now, you got a lot of guys that you can work with. Not only that, but you also have Ring of Honor guys that you could always bring up to fill those shows. if Tony Khan plays it smart and works his magic, AEW will be just fine. There will be no issues with what they're going to do. We just got to wait and see. Be patient, my friends. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. With that said, we'll move on. Next fight of the evening was a three-way match. Big Bill, Swerve Strickland, and Trent Beretta. Swerve Strickland wins the match in 9 minutes. Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. How am I going to follow? How am I going to follow that? I'll do my best. I shall do my best. You know me. All right. All right. Trying to find my. All right. Trent Beretta, Big Bill, and Swerve all figured into the Blackjack Battle Royal at Double or Nothing, and tonight they renewed their recent tensions in a three-way dance, just like he did days earlier. Strickland got the best of his opponents, scoring the pinfall on Trent Beretta and further building momentum for himself. Strickland has long been underutilized, stuck in undercard feuds on Rampage, so it is nice to see him enjoying high-profile exposure, both in the closing moments of the aforementioned Battle Royal and here with this big win. I'm going to give this about maybe 3 stars for the effort. And remember what we talked about earlier, guys, about how, Swerve Strickland, was working his way towards becoming the next possible challenger for Orange Cassidy in that international championship. Well, this win tonight was pretty much was good enough for Tony Khan and crew, saying good enough for us. So next week, next Wednesday night on Dynamite, it's going to happen. Swerve Strickland is going to challenge Orange Cassidy for that AEW International Championship. And you know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction right here and right now. I think Swerve's going to win the belt. I'm calling it. He's got the momentum. Orange has had a great run, but I think Swerve is due for a title, a singles title, that is. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, whatever. But one thing we do know for sure, gentlemen, it's going to be a banger of a match, because we all know that international title is the working horse title, the workhorse title in AEW ever since Orange Cassidy won it from Pac way back when. So 3 stars for this. So Michael Bullock, nothing left to say. I mentioned it earlier, and it's going to happen next week. Swerve Strickland is going to challenge Orange Cassidy for that international championship. And I'm going on the record, Swerve's winning the belt next week. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, whatever.
Yeah, I could see that happening too, but we'll just wait and see what happens. But 2.5 to 3 for the effort here. So there's nothing more to say. It's your Splash.
All right, we're gonna indeed move on. So next up that we did have, after some promo stuff, it was Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. They were going up against the Gates of Agony, and it was Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy winning the match. They won it in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll give it about 3.25 stars for this match. I thought it was a good match here, no doubt about it in my mind. So, the outcome was never in doubt. So, it's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, solid match, good battle. I really got nothing else to say, so let's just move on along. Florio, it's yours. I'll give this about 2.5.
2.5. All right. Hot action-packed match featuring 2 of the most popular guys in the company, culminated with Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin scoring a competitive win over the physically imposing heels, despite selling the effects of their respective matches from Sunday night. This was the second segment on tonight's show to feature Strickland and his Mogul Embassy faction, suggesting they are about to take on a major role on AEW television in the coming weeks and months. Considering how much Dynamite could use freshening up, it's a creative decision that is both long overdue and should help strengthen the show, while highlighting a guy that should have been a focal point months ago. I'm actually going to give this about 3, maybe 3.25 for this. Solid match here. And now Sting has showed up. So, Sting coming in. So I don't know what else there is to say. So maybe a 6-man tag could come out of this. I don't know, but three and a quarter for me. Let's move on, MF.
All right, next up we had was Chris Statlander, the new TBS champion, her first official title defense against Nyla Rose, the Native Beast. And it was Chris Statlander winning the match in 8 minutes and 10 seconds. And this was a good match. It was about a 2.5-star battle. I think we enjoyed it. Could have it been better? Yeah, in certain ways, yes, it could have. But we enjoyed it. It was a solid match. Stats. Her legend is gonna grow now, man. So we're gonna see how this looks. Like we said, there's a plethora of opponents for her now that I know a lot of people are gonna be going after. So we'll see how it plays out. It was really good. I got really nothing more to say. I think it was pretty awesome. So Anthony, it's yours.
I agree. The action was fine and the effort was there from both ladies, but Statlander barely selling the left knee that had been the focus of her opponent's attack was distracting. That she kipped up and delivered a top rope maneuver that demanded strength in both legs only enhanced it. Chalk that up to ring rust. Hopefully, as Statlander gets back into the swing of things, one of the best wrestlers in the AEW women's division, she should be hugely beneficial to a division that has only ever known Jade Cargill as TBS champion. The tease of an unhappy Taya Valkyrie appears to set the stage for a possible match between those two. So, give it about 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. So, with that being said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, 2.5 stars for me. I mean, look, this was Chris Statlander's first official match back from her injury. Obviously, you don't want to push her too much into a really long match coming off of an ACL injury that she was out for about a year from. So, but yeah, this was a good first match for her in her first TBS title defense. So, yeah, can't wait to see what more from Chris Statlander. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so it leads us to the main event of the evening, as it was Chris Jericho and Saraya. They were teaming up, and they went up against the golden couple of AEW, Adam Cole, baby, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. All right, winners of the bout in our main event at 13 minutes and 15 seconds was Adam Cole and Dr. Britt Baker. So, Anthony, it's yours.
3 1/4, 3.5 by default, the fight of the night. The match was not nearly as off point as the unsanctioned one in Las Vegas and really benefited from having Baker and Saraya carry the middle section of it before the guys bopped in late to wrap it up. That format allowed the women's division feud to take center stage, thanks to the arrival of new women's champion Toni Storm, Ruby Soho, and Hikaru Shida, before highlighting the latest chapter in the Cole Jericho saga. A chapter that hopefully concludes, or in this case, finishes the story. Wink, wink. Cole and Jericho are both skilled professional wrestlers, but not every great performer has chemistry with every other great. Sometimes their styles just do not mesh, and thus far it appears as though that's the case with Jericho and Cole. Move Cole on to MJF. Find something different for Jericho to do, and hopefully it all hits in a way this program never quite did. I'll give it 3 1/4 to 3.5. By default, the fight of the night for me. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, your thoughts on our mixed tag main event?
Yeah, 3 1/4 to 3.5. By default, the fight of the night. This was a good match. Obviously, we did get a little bit of some interference from the other members of the Outcast, and basically, Hikaru Shida basically put a stop to that. So, so the outcome was never in doubt for me. So, it's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, I'd say about 3.5 stars. I'm good with that. I thought they did a really good job. So really nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, you lead off on our overall review.
I'll give this about maybe 6.5 to 7 on this one. I thought it was a good show. There were some things I thought that definitely could have been better, but all in all, not too bad. It's yours, Fletch.
7 stars for me. A little bit of a step up from the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. There was some solid action. There was actually some pretty good to almost on the verge of great, to say the very least. So yeah, Nothing more to say. Floyd, it's yours.
Whereas the Double or Nothing pay-per-view often felt like a step back, this was a really solid show that laid the groundwork for the next several weeks of AEW television. Mogul Embassy. Remember those guys. Mogul Embassy is a force to be dealt with, and Swerve Strickland could very easily and believably dethrone Orange Cassidy on next week's show to win that AEW International Championship. The stuff with Don Callis and Takeshita was extraordinary and reflective of the guttural hatred fans have for them and should continue to into the near future. The tease of a new family bears watching and should prove hugely significant to AEW television overall. Chris Statlander's return, Wheeler Yuta's sudden momentum, and the feud between FTR and Bullet Club Gold should all make for intriguing narratives to keep an eye on as the company moves into one of the most significant summers of its existence. Oh, and that CM Punk guy's coming back too. Not a perfect show, but certainly an above average one, thanks to the introduction of new stories and the conclusion of old ones. This rates out accordingly. A good 7, maybe 7.5 or so out of 10 for this. So there isn't much more to say on this. MF, with your permission, I'd like to set the groundwork for tomorrow night on TXN Sports World.
By all means, it's all yours.
All right. Tomorrow night, usual start time, I'm sure, correct? So with that, tomorrow night, TXN Sports World, 10:30 to Tone 25. 3 new coaching hires in the NBA. We have a new coach of Philadelphia, a new coach in Milwaukee, and as announced earlier by MF, a new coach in Detroit. We'll get into all that. We'll call it the coaching carousel, if you will. The NBA coaching carousel. We'll start it with that. Then we'll preview week 8 of the newest week of the USFL. And then in our double main event, we will preview the NBA finals and the Stanley Cup finals. So, MF, if there's anything else that needs to be added, feel free, or if not, we'll just roll with that for tomorrow night.
As of now, that's it. I don't see anything other than what you just mentioned. So I don't think there is anything else that I know.
Okay, so the NBA coaching carousel, those 3 new hires, we'll incorporate that into one shot. The newest week of the USFL, we'll get into that. And then double main event, preview of the NBA Finals, the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets, and the Stanley Cup Final, the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. It's going to be something else. So 10:30 tomorrow night, Tone 25, TXN Sports World. Don't miss it. MF, take it home.
All right. And then after that, Friday, we do it all over again with the Cerebral Smack Talk. We got a loaded show. So, of course, SmackDown. We do have AEW Rampage. And then from there, we do have, and then from there, we also got, I don't think we got nothing else to preview. So it's just going to be a short show on that. And then we do it all over again with Monday night with Ridiculously Raw. So, yeah, until then, for Anthony Floyo, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Until then, so long for now.
Goodbye.